Hey, guess what? Bob is back, now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Check us out, the new Bob 106.3.
Hey South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show. Every day, we're driving the debate in America with the fastest moving, hardest hitting, most comprehensive, fact-based commentary on the radio. We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth. Our show is a meeting place of ideas. We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world.
We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visit.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi. What decisions are being made by state lawmakers, and how will they affect you, your family, and community? If you listen, you'll know. SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk app, and at supertalk.fm.
Hi, I'm Billy Kinder, host of Big Billy Kinder Outdoors. Here the show Saturdays at 1, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Turkeys, whitetail, Grenada Lake crappie, or Gulfport redfish. We enjoy it all, especially when you're in camp with us on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We are with the fabulous Norbert Putnam as he played on so many hit records, you can't count them, and produced for some of the biggest acts ever. We got to talk Jimmy Buffett.
One day at breakfast, he says, I started a new song. He says, about a night and a day in Key West, I played a bar and I got drunk, and coming home, I stepped out of my flip-flop, and I just kept going. I stepped on a beer can. And the next morning, I'm up, and I'm hungover, and I'm trying to make a margarita. I got some shrimp boiling. I can't find the salt. I said, Jimmy, I kind of like this. And he said, yeah, I think I'll call it Margaritaville.
In a Mississippi Minute.
Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on your local SuperTalk Mississippi station and now on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, guess what? Bob is back, now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Check us out, the new Bob 106.3.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome to Coast Vue, the show that every single day celebrates the men and women who are making coastal Mississippi such a great place to live, work, and play. And from time to time, we're going to get involved in an issue. We don't do issues too often here on Coast Vue. The recent tourism effort and some discontent around that, we certainly covered that. That was important to our region. And, we're going to talk about economic development from time to time and things like the BP money. But generally, we're just going to celebrate the people who make coastal Mississippi such a great place to live, work, and play, and learn through them. And one of the people that I love spending time with is Mayor FoFo Gilich. And let me bring FoFo into the conversation. We're going to talk about the new Popps Ferry Bridge, or the need for the new bridge, here in just a second. But I want to kind of flash up a couple of pictures I took from my house on Back Bay, and for the radio audience, essentially what we're seeing is some sunrise and some sunset pictures that have been that I took. But FoFo, coming back to you, man, this is a beautiful time to live in coastal Mississippi this time of year, isn't it?
No doubt. It's the best. It's the best when you just relaxing when you walk out. And I noticed too at this time of year. And especially when you look out over the Mississippi Sound and you see the reflection of the water. That only happens in the wintertime. And there's some sort of, atmospheric conditions based on, whatever, but it reflects so beautifully. And those sunsets, I see the same sunset you see, and it is great. And
I had, in the first week of Coast Vue, I had Rick Carter and Terry Green. You know them. They started the Island View. What a great entrepreneurial story that is. But at the beginning of the conversation, it was sort of like the last couple of days. The sunsets and the sunrises had been so beautiful, and I've had the fortune of being have been traveled around the world, and of course they have traveled around the world. And I asked them, have they ever seen a more beautiful sunset than here in coastal Mississippi in all of their travels? And no, the answer is no. And I think it has a lot to do with the way we're oriented. That you can the way the water is set up, and the way the beach is oriented to the sun, and for both sunrises and sunsets. But it's a beautiful time of the year. It's a great time of the year to give thanks and just kind of look around you and say thank God for what we have, isn't it?
No doubt. The family and the friends and the place we are, that says it all.
It really does. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the new bridge, and I want to kind of break it all down. I had the benefit of last Tuesday having Ryan Dolan on the Coast Vue. He's the VP of Business Development for United Bridge Partners, and he's very smart and articulate, and did a really good job of answering my questions. But before we get started, let me throw a disclaimer out there just so people can understand where I'm coming from. Because some people have a sense of where I live, and I just want to make sure you know what my dog in the hunt is as it relates to the bridge. So I live on the north shore of Back Bay near the Popps Ferry Bridge. But to be clear, my house is not impacted by the bridge in any way. If anything, it's going to make our life better. And I would say too, if it's well lit, and this is one of the things I said to Brian, that it will be more aesthetically pleasing to us if in fact we're able to get that bridge built. And in terms of improving our lives, I mean, there's no doubt about that. I mean, it seems like every day, and we're going to talk about this in just a second, but it seems like there's an issue with the bridge. Maybe either it's stuck, or there's a wreck, or it's just up at just the most inopportune times, and traffic backs up quickly because Popps Ferry Road, as most of us know, has become a major thoroughfare for coastal Mississippi. It's not just a residential bridge that we use to travel back and forth. It's literally become a major entry point to coastal Mississippi. And with that, we'll talk in just a second about why isn't it a state road, but we'll come to that in just a second. I use the current bike path a lot because I run and I bike. And when I do, I have to stop on the current bike path. I'm glad it's there, but it's so narrow when you pass someone, you have to stop and, squeeze past each other. And that's just the way that is. The new bridge proposes to fix that. The only other observation that I have personally is that there are some of us who are on the northern shore that use the deep water access the bridge accommodates for us. And I would hope that during construction, then obviously when the thing is finished, that we would not lose our deep water access. I would assume that that's going to be unlikely, but obviously it's going to be important to the boat owners on the North Shore who use that as a major thoroughfare to get to deep water. Otherwise, I am a major proponent for a new bridge. The issue ultimately is just around how do we get it funded and how quickly can we get it built. And I have serious concerns about the toll. I've made that very clear. I'm currently opposed to a toll, but I have not closed my mind. There's a lot we need to learn about this. I think it may come down to, and we'll talk with FoFo about this here shortly, but it may come down to this. Do you want a bridge quickly? And if you do, the toll may be the only way to get it done. If you want a bridge quickly and you don't like the toll, you might have to say, we may not build this bridge in our lifetime. And I think that's kind of the reality of where we are now. There may be some shades of gray in all of this, but I just want to lay it out there to say that may be actually where we are. So, FoFo, why don't we do this? We're going to cover all those aspects here in just a second, but why don't we take a step back for a little bit and lay some groundwork around the case for action, the need to get this bridge replaced, some of the history of the bridge, both mechanically, other funding efforts that have taken place in the past. I mean, this is not something that we just suddenly got onto. This is something the city, unfortunately, I say unfortunately because it shouldn't fall on the city of Biloxi to deal with this. I mean, this has become a major thoroughfare for coastal Mississippi, hasn't it?
Well, it has, and not only for coastal Mississippi, but for coastal industrial development. This is the crosshairs of everything that happens in the Industrial Seaway. And this is a Harrison County economic development. Mike Olivier spoke many times before he left. This is a choke point. Every time that thing has an issue, and as a matter of fact, Saturday, it was stuck 4 times. And I got calls from people in boats trying to, not only people on the bridge, on the causeway. So, I mean, it is a serious thing. It's maritime. This all started when it was a county before, Biloxi annexed Sunkist, which, was there. And even before that little, flat bridge was there, flat draw, it was Popps Ferry, right? So that's how it was. It's always been a corridor, so the importance is not just a Biloxi thing. It's a regional thing. It's got to be, maritime takes precedent. And, I could solve a bridge problem by just, me and Billy Ray Allen go weld that thing shut. But I don't think the people on the industrial seaway would have too happy about it. So the need is critical, as you pointed out, not only just the flow of traffic, the flow of industrial development. So that's, how this whole conversation got started. And it was started years ago. 2004 was the first serious, let's replace this with a high rise. Unfortunately, and there's some, as you mentioned, shades of gray. The fastest, the easiest way to put a new bridge is what Ryan explained to you, given the ground conditions.
So let's do this thing. Let's go. Let's stick on the need to replace, and we'll do funding next. But okay, so There are several issues here around the bridge as it relates to daily flow. So you have certainly they have the residential flow, people back and forth. Then you have visitors who come here from all over the nation who get sucked off of I-10 and head down Cedar Lake and then eventually to Popps Ferry Road and come across the bridge. Obviously, the Coliseum, which the Coliseum is there for the entire state of Mississippi, and when there are events there, obviously people are coming down the bridge. So the bridge is used by lots of people every day, and is very much residential. There's no way we can get away from that. Okay, as it relates to what you just pointed out, I want to make sure people understand about the industrial pinch point. Our forefathers in Harrison County were really smart when they created the industrial canal, and all along the industrial canal are major industrial partners, so to speak. Some of them are from the deepwater oil segment. Some of them are connected to Ingalls. There's a wide variety of companies that are there, and they use barge traffic. Barge is the way they get their parts and pieces in and out of there. And in order to do that, they have to pass through the current Popps Ferry Road Bridge. When we say that there could be a pinch point, I mean, we saw after Hurricane Katrina, for a period of time, it was locked down. And then after I don't know how long it was before we actually were able to get it up and stay in the fixed position for the months that it took them to repair the bridge. But we begin to understand how important this bridge is. Hey, when we come back, we're coming to the end of the segment. I've observed just in the most recent hurricane evacuation process when the bridge was stuck, that the boats that were trying to get to Hurricane Hole and other places, they were just stacking up, waiting for the bridge to get where it could open again. This is not a livable situation that we have right now. We're going to continue our conversation around the case for why we need a new bridge, and then we'll shift gears and talk more about funding. We'll be back with Mayor FoFo Gilich after this.
Coast Vue on SuperTalk 103.1 is brought to you by J. Allen Toyota on I-10 exit 38 Gulfport. See all the incredible inventory at allentoyota.com. And remember, when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
It's 2021 and J. Allen Toyota still has a lifetime warranty on all new Toyotas. They all come with Toyota Care. We've got a great rental department. We've got great used cars. We've got a parts and service department ready to help you. So when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
Thousands of Bulldog fans have subscribed to the Thunder and Lightning podcast. Have you? On each episode, Brian Haydad and Joel Coleman give you an inside look at your Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Thunder and Lightning podcast is free and available on demand at supertalk.fm and on your smartphone. Just search for Thunder and Lightning on iTunes, Google Play, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thunder and Lightning from SuperTalk, Mississippi, covering the Bulldogs like no one else. SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world.
We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visit.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, guess what? Bob is back. Now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Check us out. The new Bob 106.3.
His love for the coast is why he's here. It's Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. I have Mayor FoFo Gilich with me, and we're talking about the new Popps Ferry Road Bridge, the need for a new bridge. And we're still in the part of the conversation where we're just talking about the bridge needs to be replaced. We talked about the amount of traffic that's going over the bridge every single day. We'll get more specific now about some of the mechanical issues that we're facing. But even if we had those things fixed, with it being this critical evacuation artery, the need for the drawbridge to go up during the hurricane evacuation, I mean, that makes no sense. I mean, the truth is, this should have been replaced about 15 to 20 years ago. Isn't that right?
Oh, yeah, no question. This is, 2004 when conversations began with MDOT, and I think it started with phase A, B, C, D, and wound up with J, and it lasted. I mean, it took years. And I know it was started in 97, 98, and that sort of thing. It's been going on, and the needs, these things are just bubbling up now. We should have pushed. And it's, 15 years ago, 16 years ago, and that's what we're facing right now. Let's define the issues. Let's figure out what possible solutions there are. And I'm sure from a toll to welding the bridge shut, there'll be some solution in between, and the dollars will be, apparent. We faced a little bit of challenge, with Katrina, but ground conditions were different. That Biloxi Ocean Springs Bridge, everybody knew you had to replace that bridge. $320 million is what that bridge cost in a design build mode. That design build mode, we don't have that luxury of doing those emergency kinds of things. We've got to do this to a routine sort of approach, methodically define, design, and deliver the solution. It's a challenge, almost like when I took the office in 2015, the infrastructure part. I mean, there are means and methods and things that you need to understand and learn and do. And we've done it. It's a little bit like my brothers teaching me how to swim. They threw me off the Porter Avenue Pier, and that's how I learned how to swim. So we're swimming through here. So, but
there's been a long effort to acquire funding, and we'll come back to that in just a second. But coming back to just the daily use of the bridge, right. Yesterday I had run to check on my mother in Gulfport, came back to the bridge, came back to turn on Popps Ferry Road Bridge, and the traffic was backed up all the way to Pass Road trying to get over the bridge, and that was at 3:30. And I wondered, is the bridge broken again? I don't actually think it was broken. I just think that there, at certain times of the day, and usually it's around 4:30 to 5. Whatever reason, yesterday, it was completely sort of packed.
Just one marine traffic interruption sends it into a loop, and just one boat, So
yeah, one boat. One boat. But what I observe, and I've lived on the North Shore in the general area, either the house next door or the house where I live now since 2001. So I've been here 20 years. I've got a good sense of, from year to year, what it feels like. It seems to me that the bridge traffic today is much greater than it was 5 years ago. And maybe there's more boat traffic. Maybe there's more, industrial development activity that causes boats to. Actually, we know that that's the case. Actually, you think about the big offshore boats that have been stored in Gulfport Lake, and they're constantly passing back and forth, and some of these Navy boat construction projects that they're working on. So I think a combination of the bridge having to go, as you call, interruptions, because the drawbridge has to go up, and the increasing amount of traffic, it just seems that the margins that would, for error, the margins for creating incredible congestion are much narrower today than they were 5 or 10 years ago. That's true, isn't it?
Oh, no question about that. And along those lines too, this last weekend, it got cold on Friday, didn't it? Saturday we had a problem. That's a steel bridge, and you got moving parts, and when things expand, they don't and contract specifically, they don't lock down like they need to. So it's a technology that physics takes over, and people with crowbars and jackhammers try to get that thing locked, and that's a fact. That's a reality. If it were a different kind of. Yeah.
So in terms of sort of this building anxiety around the need to replace that bridge, it actually predates even Katrina, right? I mean, this is a conversation that's been going on for a very, very long time.
That's right. That's right.
And has the big issue been, I want to make sure we focus on this a bit. Why does this problem fall on Biloxi? Why is this sort of part of Biloxi's infrastructure and not part of the coast's infrastructure or MDOT's infrastructure? Why is this a state road? Why does the onus of this road fall on you, given how incredibly important it is as a thoroughfare for coastal Mississippi?
That's a fair question. And, literally, the city limits, when we acquired, when we annexed Sunkist, it was a county road, and it was, it built the bridge. It was a county causeway. You remember those 2 bridges you have to go through, and up until that time, and I think I'm not sure we're doing when it was actually built. Annexation took place, and they built the original bridge we built now, the one now in '79. I think Switzer was one of the board of supervisors. C.T. Switzer, and then I don't know how we lost the state designation of that road, but it certainly was a county road because it wasn't in any city at the time. We annexed Sunkist, and there was some arrangements where we would take over the maintenance of the thing. And anyway, that was around annexation, and then around the time the 79 bridge, the one we're living with now, took place. But it certainly doesn't make any sense to me. And we should have a tremendous case to say this is not a city thing. This is a regional thing. And that's what we're trying to do. And, I do have some frustration, but to the casual observer, this should be obvious. It's in a number of ways that we're going to talk a little bit about that Biloxi Beach corridor that we developed concepts, to take from 67 all the way to Highway 90. To do this regionally, let's be able to put people through this in a timely fashion without interruption. That'd be the state designated thing.
So let's come back to the MDOT, the Mississippi Department of Transportation. They have their priorities. So they have state roads and highways they're responsible for. That there are interstate roads that they get tremendous federal funding for. They may get some federal funding for their state highways as well. And then if you look at order of priority, it's probably federal highways first, then state highways second, and then whatever's left, and usually there's nothing left, then there could be money available for cities and other entities that might have roads and bridges that need to be replaced. Am I simplifying that too much?
Yeah, because most of the things that MDOT does is federally generated. So they manage. They're going to give them an injection of money like this 3.2 or 3.4 billion, which have dedicated 225 million for roads and bridges, which we got a tremendous amount of, and developing needs. It's more on MDOT and how they're going to use this injection of money and how we're going to bubble up or not bubble up to have something that's, that no question is needed. And that's the challenge we have.
But the point I want to make, though, is that since there's not a complete ownership or maybe any ownership on the part of MDOT around solving this problem. It falls on the city to have to solve this problem. And that makes it really, really tough when you're competing for money on the federal stage. I'm saying this is before the infrastructure bill.
Right.
We're going to cover that in just a second. But just in general, it's estimated that about 45,000 bridges in America, 45,000 either need to have major repairs or to be replaced. And there's a good consensus between the Highway Transportation Associations and the White House's assessment of that. It's not a surprise to me because we have not invested in infrastructure the way we need to. But the reality is there is a lot of need in America. And, you know, if you listen, well, I'll just put it out there. You mentioned $3.3 billion. That's what's going to be allocated from the infrastructure plan to Mississippi. And 225,000 of that is for bridge replacement and 225 million of that is for bridge replacement and repair for the whole state of Mississippi. And this bridge is going to cost $170 million. Do you think there's any way? I'm not asking. This is rhetorical. Is there any way that the bridge that's Biloxi's responsibility would get $170 million when MDOT has needs all over this state and only $225 billion is spent on bridge replacement? It sounds like a lot of money, but in the context of Mississippi's needs, it's not, is it?
No, it's not. And the best, okay, and again, methodically, we went through every option, since, 10 years ago on how we would pursue. When you look at what's designated for state road, 605, that's a state road. Another line, which this one where should be called 615, a state road. Fort Bayou, that's a state road. How much money did they spend on both of those bridges? Okay, yeah. And we're not a state road, but I'm not whining. The reality is reality. You hit it right on the head. Is that what chance do you think we're going to get $150 million out of that 225 for the whole state?
That's right. So that answers the question, and we're coming to the end of this segment. That you've got trillions of dollars available. Why hasn't that changed the game? We'll put that more in perspective here in just a second. There are actually two other funds that we could go to, but it's going to be super competitive. We'll see you after this break with FoFo Gilich.
Listen live or on demand and watch episodes of Coast Vue on your laptop, desktop, or on your phone or tablet by going to SuperTalkMSGulfCoast.com.
Hey, guess what? Bob is back, now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Check us out, the new Bob 106.3.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
Get the scoop on what happened in college football and what to expect in the NFL. Each Sunday on Sports Sunday with Michael Borky. Get the story behind the stats, 8 to 10 a.m. on SuperTalk Mississippi, SuperTalk.fm, and watch the show on SuperTalk.tv. SuperTalk Mississippi. We're more than just words. This is where the story of your state is told. Proud to cover the Magnolia State like nobody else. SuperTalk Mississippi.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health, our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world.
We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visit.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. Talking to Paul Thorne, Mississippi true treasure, really incredible recording artist, singer, songwriter, has been doing it a long time, doing it the right way.
It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing because, I was a boxer, / I worked in a furniture factory, / I had a gig 2 nights a week playing my acoustic guitar in a pizza restaurant, / I was in the National Guard, and, all this stuff was going on at the same time. / I had a writing contract with Rick Hall and Fame.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show. Every day, we're driving the debate in America with the fastest moving, hardest hitting, most comprehensive fact-based commentary on the radio. We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth. Our show is a meeting place of ideas. We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show
on SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, guess what? Bob is back, now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Check us out, the new Bob 106.3.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. I have Mayor FoFo Gilich, and we're talking about the new Popps Ferry Road Bridge, or the need to have a new Popps Ferry Road Bridge. So let me just sort of summarize what we've heard so far. First of all, there's very little debate about the reality that we need to replace the bridge. It's an industrial corridor, particularly as it relates to the industrial seaway. Second, it's hugely used by residents here in Biloxi and coastal Mississippi, for that matter. It's a major corridor. And, of course, tourists are using it regularly. There are a lot of people on any given day that go across that bridge. I think we all know that. Third, even if the drawbridge worked, it has to open too much. And when we do hurricane evacuations, it has to open a lot. That is not conducive to getting boats to safe harbor. Well, or getting people out of town. So that we've known that it was a problem all along, but then you factor into it the recent issues with mechanical issues, getting stuck. I think you said this past Saturday got stuck multiple times. But the reality is we've got a situation that we have known for 30 years that needs to be fixed. And certainly at Hurricane Katrina, you would have thought, man, we can fix it here. But as the mayor pointed out, we had to replace the Ocean Springs Bridge and the Bay St. Louis Bridge. There was very little money to replace this bridge in the mix of all of that. We were lucky to get what we got. We did get it fixed, and we bought us some time, but here we are. Now, people want to know, why don't we just go get some of the infrastructure money? And there's a $1 trillion+ of infrastructure. $3.3 billion has been allocated to Mississippi from the infrastructure plan. $225 million in that $3.3 billion is for bridge replacement and repairs. This bridge alone between $150 and $170 million. So, the most important summary statement that I'm going to make is that a city like Biloxi shouldn't have to own this thoroughfare. This thoroughfare should be owned by MDOT. This should be a state corridor that MDOT has responsibility for. But unfortunately, Biloxi has sort of been left to its own devices to find a solution on its own. They're seeking partnerships with MDOT and all these others. But MDOT has their own priorities. And so they're having, when you get through the limited amount of money, by the time you get to what does Biloxi need? $170 million? There is no way they're going to be able to give you that money. Now, I should also point out that in the infrastructure bill, there are two other funds. There's one that's called the Bridge Investment Program, and that's $12.5 billion. And the other is a national funding for bill dedicated for major projects, and that's $16 billion. But that's for the whole United States. That's for the whole United States. And that was going to be so unbelievably competitive. I can't even begin to tell you how difficult it would for Biloxi, again, left to its own devices and having to make the case for this bridge on their own, how they would stack up with the major competition they're going to have. So that's kind of, is that a fair summary?
It is. I mean, the reality sets in. It's a long shot. To get half of it, it would be a long shot to get $75 or $80 million of that. Now,
but we have you. Okay, but when I say we, the city of Biloxi has not given up on finding the money that you can. We're going to come back to that in just a second. So we're not saying, I'm clearly not saying, and I haven't heard you say, that we're putting all of our eggs in a toll basket. You're just saying we need to consider this, and if we can get federal funds, we would offset the cost for sure. Is that kind of where you are?
We're trying to define a mechanism where we can utilize anything we get to, to knock down whatever it is. You define the need. The need is to.
Kyle, put up that map, and for the radio audience, I want you to know that what this is showing is a green thoroughfare essentially that comes off at Wool Market and ultimately connects at Highway 90. So it would obviously be coming down and then all new, and it would connect somewhere around Popps Ferry Bridge, come through Sunkist, and then over the new bridge and then on down to what's under it's pretty far along, actually, this notion of connecting Pass Road to Highway 90.
Actually, if
you envision this, yes.
If you go to the north, this was back in 1995, we developed this corridor. We call it the Biloxi Beach Corridor, defined in 4 phases. It would take us from 67 on the north end all the way through Wool Market, exit, across the causeway, tying in Margaret Sherry, and then all the way to Highway 90. Phase A is just a little bit of the extension across Pass Road to the west of the Coliseum and into Highway 90. And then there are so many traffic benefits, just that little bitty part of Phase A. With $16 million project, we spent about $5, we need $13 million to do that. That's just Phase A. At the time, 2015, those 2 new bridges, one of which is the one we're trying to get the $170 million, the whole ticket was $255 million. Shriners Boulevard is big enough to make the changes necessary for the economic development and the tourist interception and those kinds of things that would bring it to West Biloxi and the possible new projects. So that was 2015. And we've been chasing that concept forever. Everybody, this was Defense Act, hit all the buttons. Defense access, hurricane evacuation, economic development. Now, 4 years in a row, we've been trying to get this $13 million out of a raise grant to do the extension from across Popps Ferry, across Pass Road to the railroad track. We closed 3 crossings so we could get this done. We're still trying to get that. We did everything. We've got our 20% match. We've got all the things. That's just $16 million right now.
Yeah.
And make that 10 times that much.
Yeah, you start to really understand. Okay, so I read in one of those social media comments that someone said the casinos in Biloxi are doing great. They had $100 million months. Biloxi's the richest city in the state of Mississippi. Why can't they use their bonding, authority to build a bridge?
Well, let me answer that. Yeah, we could do that, but it's just not fair to do that. I could put 10 mills on your taxes right now and do that bridge. Expensive, but it's not right to do that. I'm not going to ask, there are functions, it's just a lot of things are citywide. Everybody, could pitch in. 49,000 residents could pitch in and do a new bridge. When it's not right to do this, this is a regional thing, and we should get regional attention and consideration. That's the challenge. It seems as though that we're in it. You're gonna have to learn how to swim. Well, that's not fair. But I'm not whining, okay? You know me, I'm not whining. I'm gonna tee it up for something, and we're gonna get some things done. But there are channels that we're going down. It's easy for some of these people on Facebook to take shots, but they don't. They need to understand the complexity of this thing. And what we've done, City of Biloxi has taken every possible and they've done it the right way. I'm not trying to do anything political or squeeze this or that. I'm just doing what's right. And that's what drives me. You've seen my picture. This is, about Biloxi. We are Biloxi and we're going to make it happen, but it's a challenge. I mean, it's, Ricky, and it's a major deal, to get this done. I hope I didn't whine too much on that.
So I get your point. So let me say back to you what I heard you say though. Certainly you could do, I think you said 10 mils or whatever it's going to be. You could do that on the current tax base and force all Biloxians to pay for it. But by going the toll route, it's more of a user-based fee. So tourists will be paying for it. Someone who comes over from Bay St. Louis will be helping to pay for it. Somebody who comes over from Ocean Springs helps to pay for it. And then, of course, residents who are using it on a regular basis will help to pay for it at some sort of yet to be determined reduced fee. Is that the way you envision that?
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me now? I might be running low on batteries.
We can hear you.
Yeah, there are combinations. There will be, as long as we don't box our way in and signing agreements that precludes us using, bits and pieces of everything. It's like I said, it's complex. And there was something called, I think you talked about somebody on casino roads. Well, there was a 1994 casino roads bill that was to help these people get to and fro. You know what? And it was hundreds of millions of dollars. And I think we got $3 million of that, Biloxi. And that was the expansion of 2 lanes from Oak Street to the bridge. That was our result. And that's the same kind of competition we're facing across the country. As a matter of fact, some of the, there was a 1987 4-lane highway bill that used some of that money to establish 4-lane boulevards that ran parallel with some of the interstates. It's a challenge every door you open. So sometimes it's frustrating, but I enjoy those challenges.
Well, it's interesting. We showed a few minutes ago that map that showed connecting, as you pointed out, 67 all the way to Highway 90, in excess of $250 million, probably much more than that now, frankly.
Right.
And again, coming back to the infrastructure bill, only $225 million has been allocated for bridge replacement and repairs for Mississippi. So you really get a sense of, when you start to add up the needs in Mississippi, the needs across the country, because we haven't been spending money the way need to be spending money on infrastructure, the competition for this money is going to be absolutely incredible. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about that, and then we're going to be realistic about what it would take to build this bridge with a toll and what we see some of the pushback being. We'll see you after this break with Mayor FoFo Gilich.
You can also listen live to SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on your Amazon Alexa devices. Once you've enabled the skill, just say, Alexa, open SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast.
Hey, guess what? Bob is back, now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Check us out, the new Bob 106.3.
Hey South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the J. Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on AllenToyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi, your new home for the Ben Shapiro Show.
We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth.
The most electrifying national talk show on air today.
We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Ben Shapiro, brutally breaking down the issues of the day.
From politics to pop culture, we take a look at all of it. So don't miss out.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi.
SuperTalk Mississippi. Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Thousands of Bulldog fans have subscribed to the Thunder and Lightning podcast. Have you? On each episode, Brian Haydad and Joel Coleman give you an inside look at your Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Thunder and Lightning podcast is free and available on demand at supertalk.fm and on your smartphone. Just search for Thunder and Lightning on iTunes, Google Play, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thunder and Lightning from SuperTalk Mississippi, covering the Bulldogs like no one else.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We're talking to Del Berra. Take me back to growing up and what it was like in the household with a dad like Yogi Berra.
You know, we grew up with his funny sayings. You know, I remember Dad managing the Mets, and me, Larry, and Timmy are watching the game on TV. And all of a sudden, two streakers run out of the stands on TV, and the camera slips away from them. So when he gets home, me, Larry, and Timmy say, "Hey, Dad, those streakers, what were they, boys or girls? We need to know." And Dad looked us right in the eye and said, "I couldn't tell. They had bags over their heads."
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play.
Hey, guess what? Bob is back, now at 106.3, playing the 80s, 90s, and whatever.
I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Check us out, the new Bob 106.3.
This is Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. We have Mayor FoFo Gilich, and we're talking about the need for a new Popps Ferry Bridge. And you know, it's a play with words actually, but has a bridge that's going to be funded by a toll. Has it been officially proposed, or is it still something in consideration?
It's in consideration. Nothing has been signed, and it's up to them on their nickel to define the needs, to define the toll study, to do the environmentals, those kinds of things on just the replacement of the causeway and a high-rise bridge. I think I want to make sure this is not just a bridge. This is one without, an opening and closing.
Yeah, 95 feet, just like the Ocean Springs Bridge.
Just like
Yeah, I remember actually during the days after Katrina when we worked so hard to define what that bridge needed to be. And it was the industrial seaway that ultimately determined how high that bridge needed to be. And in this case, same scenario, major corridor, major pinch point. It has to accommodate whatever the future situation might be there as well. Okay. The one thing that I keep hearing over and over and over again, and I think people need to really understand this, is that this is not a state thoroughfare. It should be, but it's not. So the onus for getting a new bridge falls on the city of Biloxi. Like it or not, that's the reality. And when that is what it is, then in terms of MDOT, no offense to MDOT, but in terms of MDOT's priority, this is not high on their priority list because they've got other priorities and there's a limited amount of money. That's kind of where we are. And right. I've said this many times before, but it's, what I'm beginning to hear is if we want a bridge in the next 4, 5, 6 years, this is the way to go. If we choose not to go that route, we're essentially choosing not to build this bridge probably in our lifetime. Am I
50.
Overstating that?
No, you're not. 50. It'll take, if we do it conventionally and hopefully, there's no divine intervention that's going to happen. Okay, we've got to make this happen. And I've thrown out a couple of ways, but literally, that's exactly. This study, if it works out economically and fairly, for it's worked in other places. It's not the same exact ground conditions here, because of the complexity of who uses it and the whole bunch. But bottom line, to do something in 4 years is unbelievable. That's what got my attention. You mean we can be driving, because this is normally every one of these projects is a 10 or 15-year deal. Now, some of the good thing about this conversation, we're talking about it now, right? We're talking about it. We started this conversation in 15, but it was dead, for 10 years. And, it needs to be done. And you need to be ahead of the curve. These things you need to be out in front of these things. So the good thing about, all these shots that are taken and everybody has these different conclusions, we're talking about it. We'll hammer out the best way to do this, the most, I think the fairest way to do this. And that's some of the reasons why, I'm, on one side or the other, but I'll weigh, what makes sense. I hear different, options and different understanding of this, but literally, we got to be methodical on how we attack this. But one of the things that we're gonna do this fairly. This is an economic generating situation, and and who. I don't mean to go through these rabbit holes. Vincent will probably get me, but when you talked about all this money that's generated, we did $1 billion in GGR, and that generates into $120 million in net revenue. You know where the first 80 of that $120 million goes?
Yeah.
Right to the state of Mississippi.
Yeah.
Do we get any kind of credit? Give me a little bit of credit every year, and we'll build a bridge. But I just want this to be, fairly done. Just assess the needs, and realistically, I'm not trying to, squeeze anybody out of anything, but I do require that we're going to do this fairly. We're
lucky in this case. Whether some people, I think most people agree with this, that we have a mayor in this position who understands the numbers. I mean, you've got a degree in mathematics. You're a software guy. You're a smart guy. You understand the numbers, and you're quick because of your entrepreneurial experience. You're quick to really get to the root of what the reality is. Now we can fog this up however we want to fog it up, but the reality is that money that there's, again, as you said, there's really no light, no gold at the end of this rainbow. We're going to fight for every dime we can get, and we'll offset the cost with that. But at the end of the day, if we want a new bridge, United Bridge Partners, who in fact, they call their approach full funding and delivery approach, and it's essentially a private company. And the way I describe it is they're like a bank. They're a bank, and the tool is the bridge. So right. They're going to essentially fund to us the bridge, and the toll is going to offset the cost, and that's how they make their money. And I'm assuming that they have run the numbers on this, and they understand the future value of money, and they're able to, it's a wise investment for them to build a bridge and be paid back from the toll. They're smart as it relates to that. But what essentially the city gets from it is a turnkey solution. I'm not trying to make the point. I still have issues with the toll, to be quite honest with you. But I get the reality, and the choices that Biloxians have to make is, do you want a bridge now to solve our problems, our immediate problems, or do we not want to solve the problem? Because at the end of the day, that's the solution we have. Final word, we got less than a minute left, FoFo.
Well, you hit it nail on it. We need to do another couple more hours and do a little call in. But no, it's complex, and I've got to balance. Where is the right place to do this. You know, if you and I, you know, and I'm not pitching, you know, the total either, but basically we're going to find the sweet spot, and that's what we're going to do. I haven't found a sweet spot yet. You know, we know one thing: we don't need a bridge that opens and closes.
Right,
You know?
I'm with you there.
We need something high right. That's the thing
We'll have you back in the next week or two, and we're just going to continue the conversation. Look forward to having that conversation.
Okay, man, great. Appreciate
Thanks.
it.
Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Rick. Thank you. Bye-bye.